this is not only a story of those 88 people, but this is a story of so many of us. My name is Anastasia Gajkowska, and when I left my abusive relationship, I wanted to create a movie, a film, a documentary where I interview not only survivors but thrivers. I mean, people who left abusive relationships and they are really thriving now. I flew to Hollywood to learn the art of making films. I asked 8 questions. This documentary is a sample of combined stories. I use my laptop camera, my phone camera. Many recordings you will see in this documentary were filmed by survivors in their own home. All our participants decided to share their story voluntarily. 88 stories, one soul, one voice, one calling for the whole humanity. Hello and welcome. In this episode, you are going to hear more about dating. What to look at when we are dating after living in abusive relationships. What are green flags about? How to have healthy relationships after we leave an abusive relationship. Enjoy.
Our first and foremost relationship is the one with ourselves. And we really want to be in a solid place with that before we enter into something with somebody else.
Essence of who we are is love and kindness and is worthy, worthy of love and connection. So I'm just going to come back to that because that's, I think, really the core. And how do you do that for yourself as you do start to get to know yourself? And so it might be that you slow down as far as relationships go, like not jumping into new relationships all the time, or not going so quickly deep into a relationship, but taking your time to really check, is this okay with me? Do I feel safe right now? Because safety is crucial for connection, for authentic connection.
So in terms of dating, have at it. There is no greater playground for self-discovery than dating after divorce, in my opinion. And so you start to notice who you are, and what you like, and what kinds of people you're attracted to. And very often you'll get in a relationship with someone and you'll realize, oh my God, it's the same thing. And then you'll get out. And that is your first victory. Your first victory is seeing it sooner and then getting out. And then you're going to get into another one probably, and you're going to see it even sooner, and then you're going to get out. And that is your healing. That's the healing. It's not that you're never going to get into a relationship with someone who doesn't treat you well or is abusive or anything ever again. It's that you're going to know it, and you're going to get out. And your lead time to getting out gets shorter and shorter and shorter until you are starting to make more healthy choices because you are recognizing those red flags and you're seeing green flags, right? You have a different, okay, these are the things, yes, okay. He's not the kind of guy that I would normally date, but wow, isn't that interesting? He's, I don't know, he's kind, he's generous, he's really nice to waiters and, baristas. He's, whatever the green flags might be.
All my abusive relationships, it was when we were alone that the abuse was so bad. And the healthy ones, it doesn't change when you're out in the world and when you're at home. It is consistent, and it might feel slower in the beginning. They don't happen as fast. And so if somebody's pressuring me to move fast, that's a red flag. If they're pressuring me to move in or talking about marriage and babies and they barely know me and it's like a few months in or less, I mean, that can also be a very big red flag. You don't really know them and the ins and outs of who they are yet. And so
when we're not in relationship, we think that we're climbing this mountain to get into relationship. And then when we get into a relationship, that is really where the work begins. Okay? That is only the beginning, because the relationships will trigger you in places that you thought had healed and that you thought weren't, you were done with that because you hadn't been in a relationship for X amount of time. And so you didn't have to experience those feelings anymore, And once you get into a relationship, that is really where you start testing how much have I actually healed. But now, if you've done the work beforehand, you have practices, hopefully, that within the relationship allow you to recognize, oh, I'm triggered right now, give you tools to use to understand, I'm triggered right now, let me go figure out what's going on with myself. Give you communication tool, hopefully, within the work you've done, you've learned some better ways of communicating. You've learned ways, again, you have tools, you're meditating, maybe you're journaling, maybe you're doing breath work, you're doing tapping, you're doing all these techniques maybe that you've learned on your own, that when you are in this hopefully healthier relationship, you have the opportunity to use those tools. But know that once you get into a relationship, that is where you really start to test out how healed, not that we're ever healed, let's say, but how healed you actually are. And also understanding that getting to the relationship is not the goal. You're just growing, right? Everything is an opportunity for growth, including relationships. So just understanding that once you
remember that it's just dating, and really know the difference between dating and being in a relationship. And so many of us who have struggled with codependence, which most of us who are in these relationships do, we dive right into relationships. We don't know how to date. We bond and fuse very quickly to other people. And that is a recipe for disaster. That is a recipe for undoing all of your healing. And it's also a sign that you're not yet healed, because you're too quickly fusing with someone else instead of standing back and watching objectively how this person responds and reacts over time, over a long period of time. If you think about it, you don't know someone after 3 dates. After 3 dates, you may have known them for 6 to 10 hours. That's it. That's it. It feels like, I feel women all the time, they're like, oh my God, I want to date with this guy. He's amazing. No, he's not. Anyone can be amazing for 2 to 3 hours on a first date, right? They better be. It's a first date. Dating, have at it. There is no greater playground for self-discovery than dating after divorce, in my opinion. And so you start to notice who you are, what you like, and what kinds of people you're attracted to. And, very often you'll get in a relationship with someone and you'll realize, oh my God, it's the same thing. And then you'll get out. And that is your first victory. Your first victory is seeing it sooner and then getting out. And then you're going to get into another one probably. And you're going to see it even sooner. And then you're going to get out. And that is your healing. That's the healing. It's not that you're never going to get into a relationship with someone who doesn't treat you well or, is abusive or anything ever again. It's that you're going to know it and you're going to get out. And your lead time to getting out gets shorter and shorter and shorter until you are starting to make more healthy choices because you are recognizing those red flags and you're seeing green flags. Right? You have a different, oh, okay, these are the things, yes, okay. He's not the kind of guy that I would normally date, but wow, isn't that interesting? He's, I don't know, he's kind, he's generous, he's really nice to waiters and, baristas. He's, whatever the green flags might be. Huge green flag. He's done a lot of therapy work. That's one of my first questions for anyone that I go on a date with. Therapy? Been in therapy? And if, the answer should be yes. The answer should be yes. I love my therapist, right? That's not a red flag, y'all. That's a green flag. So, and then starting to look at the healthy relationships around you, right? This is part of the discovery process. Look at the healthy relationships around you. What's in them? What do you see? Are these people that genuinely have the best time together? They're best friends, right? They're best friends. They bicker, they fight, they argue, but at the core, they're best friends. What that is your intuition. That is your deepest knowing. That is the part of yourself that when you drop in, when you're quiet, when you take 3 deep breaths, you can hear the voice super clearly. And immediately it gets squashed down by critics, right? Your inner critics start to, no, right? But if you can stop for a minute and hear that guide, hear your intuition, know what is right, what is wrong. If you have your intuition, if there's a part of you that says this relationship doesn't feel right, stop there and listen. Stop there, right? Because again, immediately the inner critic is going to come out and be like, oh, it's fine, or you just this, or blah, 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 blah. But no, wait, go back to that. What is that voice?
Trust your intuition, because a lot of us, we knew the toxic relationship, there was something, that little voice, we chose to ignore it because we were like being wined and dined or whatever it was. But look for genuine, people with maybe a solid background. They're not talking about all of their exes being crazy and telling you these sob stories, trying to gain your sympathy. Those are some red flags on a first or third date.
The training is all about listen, listen, listen. And if your body goes, ugh, then you just say, look, you're a nice guy, but I don't feel we're a fit, and leave it. Because as an early coach said to me, you can either do things the hard way or the easy way. You'll come to the same point, but when you've done things the hard way once, I don't think you really want to do that again. After I left my horrible husband, I met a few men, and there's one in particular I can remember. I was sitting down with this guy and we got on really well, almost too well, in fact. And my body was screaming, don't go there. So I had a lovely time with him, and then I said, thank you and no thank you, because I could have had an argument with myself, with all my intuition said was no. And my conscious mind was going, but he's this, but he's that, he's polite, he's well dressed, he's well spoken, he's educated, he's got a job. And I just thought, I know what pain feels like. I don't want to go back there. And I don't want to spend 4 to 5 years finding out what my intuition was just throwing at me. So it's a no.
If it goes too fast, slow down. Slowness is your friend. If you're going to spend the rest of your life with this person, what is your rush? Why does it have to all happen in 3 weeks, right? Slow down. Slowness is your friend, because toxicity will show over time, while speed is your enemy. So yeah, slow down the dating process, slow down getting to sex, slow down everything, and you will be much safer. You'll be more likely to see the patterns. Anybody push for quick intensity is a big warning sign. And yeah, set intentional boundaries to see how they respond.
There's no hurry, there's no anxiety around getting somewhere quickly. When we put pressure on our relationship, I have to get married, I have to have a child, I have to move, or whatever that stuff is, then we we compress and we create contraction. Or you can just expand and just take your time. Then you can be more relaxed, for one. But two, as far as working with your nervous system to help you feel more at ease, that's going to be if you really do sense like this guy is safe, he's not going to hurt me. He seems like a nice guy.
Give it time and take things slow and don't rush, because if you've been in abuse, we all know it's easy to get swept off your feet and to rush. But you have all the time you need in the world to get to know someone and to really have them prove that you can trust them. And I used to trust on the first second because I just didn't fathom that people could be intentionally cruel. And it did get me into some bad situations by trusting words instead of just waiting for those actions and then handing my trust over.
Give yourself and the relationship the gift of time and watch from sort of an objective place. How is this person reacting to various circumstances? You don't fully know someone until you have been with them probably for at least a year, right? You've got to go through all seasons and cycles with someone and give time for the best behavior to wear off. We can't all be on our best behavior all the time for an extended period of time. We sure can for a finite period of time.
So when you start dating, to be very careful about who you're with. Spend time with them. Get to know this person. Don't jump too fast into the sex part, because that's the thing that the oxytocin starts flowing, and that's one of the things that can help us override all of the red flags that are sitting right in front of us. And so just spending time with the person, just the way you spent time with yourself, getting to know yourself and healing yourself, you're doing this with the other person. And you're watching them, you're observing them. You're asking your intuition to drive the car, so to speak, so that you can see clearly this person sitting in front of you, which isn't easy when you're all like excited, and maybe you've got the butterflies, and you're super attracted and all of those things. It can be very hard to weigh all those things out. But often what happens is that if the person who's with you doesn't really want to spend the time to know you, they're pushing you sexually right away, you can kind of talk yourself into, well, that's the relationship. This is a romantic relationship. So, and then you find yourself sleeping with them too soon, and then it just snowballs from there. And then you feel like, okay, this is really hard to turn back from. So there's a lot of saying no that you'll do at first. And there will be a lot of, this isn't working. In the first 3 months usually is that time where you kind of determine whether you want to continue going on with somebody or not. And that's the time, just be very cognizant of who you're sitting in front of, how they treat other people. Are they inviting you into their life at all? Are they interested in you? Are they genuinely interested in who you are and what you're up to? There's so many factors to kind of look at. And if you have it's almost like if you're older and you've been through all of this and you're moving on, it's a luxury that you have to be able to look at somebody else with this clear perspective of being able to weigh out, who is this person? What are they about? And how do they treat me? How do they treat others?
Huge green flag. He's done a lot of therapy work. That's one of my first questions for anyone that I go on a date with. Therapy? Been in therapy? And if, the answer should be yes. The answer should be yes. I love my therapist, right? That's not a red flag, y'all. That's a green flag.
A lot of the times the abusers I dated, they didn't really have a best friend or even a close family situation. They were all about me. And it was like, well, don't you have other things? Like, how can you just drop everything? So those are things that now I look for in somebody, is like how their lifestyle is. How do they speak to me? And as soon as there's like a slight hint of some kind of trigger or red flag in there, just saying like, this isn't for me, and not trying to force it or wish that away. Dating is very interesting these days. I know a lot of people are doing online dating, and anyone can post anything on their profiles. And so you want to make sure when you're talking to them that they're consistent in what they're sharing.
Yeah.
I've caught people lying to me, or I would bring up a very serious topic for me that would be like a deal breaker or non-negotiable, and maybe they try to agree because they just want to be with me, but they don't actually believe that too. And then it comes out later that that wasn't the case, and then that's betraying. Trying not to be too dark, saying like, oh, all guys are like, it's not all guys. Trying not to be too cynical that good guys don't exist, right? They are out there, and just be patient and take your time.
Well, healthy relationships really have to do with your own interior health. And that's your relationship with yourself. That is the most important relationship that you will ever have. And feeling like you truly adore yourself, getting to that place, when you get to that place, it's more likely that you're going to find another person who feels that way about himself. Of course, speaking from the female perspective, or herself, whichever you're looking for in your life. The healthy relationship really comes down to how healthy is your relationship with yourself, how good have you become with setting boundaries with yourself and meeting those boundaries and being respectful towards you, and then also looking for that kind of respect coming your way.
Some components of a healthy relationship are someone attuning to you, being attentive to your needs and desires, wanting you to have your needs met, being curious about you, willing to hold you when you're, struggling, valuing you and what you bring, and respecting you, like really respecting your opinion, your needs, your personhood. Feeling like you can say what you need to say, you can ask for what you want without a big reaction, without being, reprimanded. There's an ease and flow between you and your communication, so you feel like you can be heard, you can be understood, you can be supported. Intimacy feels comfortable, feels nourishing, that you feel safe. We should say safe should be the first thing. Really the foundation in a healthy relationship for everything else to unfold. Being around this person feels nourishing, that you feel like comfortable and at ease with them, versus when you're in a toxic relationship, you probably feel on edge, tense, anxious, nervous, whatever, fearful. So the opposite of that. You feel more relaxed and you can be yourself. You feel trusting of them. That might be your own work to do if you don't feel trusting and you are in a healthy relationship. Sometimes that happens because that's what we're bringing to the table, like not trusting. But in general, that would be a really good sign that trust comes eventually, if it needs to be worked with.
They take interest in each other and in each other's worlds. I have a good friend who's a therapist who talks about how his wife knits, and he's like, I could care less about knitting, but he loves his wife and she loves knitting. So he's curious. He's curious about her knitting because it matters to her. And because she matters to him, her knitting matters to him, right? He's not going to take up knitting, but he's going to be curious about it. What are you working on today, honey? Oh, how is that different from the last thing that you did? Oh, interesting. Cool. Right? As opposed to so many people who don't understand something or don't care about something, and so they dismiss it or, right, pull you away from it because it takes you away from me. That's not healthy, right?
One of the things about intimate relationships is that you're always going to have these patterns. He's always going to have his patterns, and you're coming together in this relationship to help each other grow through your patterns. And when you look at your relationship in terms of that, it helps so much. And so finding somebody who can and is willing to grow through the relationship with each other, and don't expect that you're going to grow at the exact same pace and all of that. Women tend to grow faster. The feminine tends to be more growth oriented. If you're not finding it, to be okay with being alone. You know, it's just loving your life, finding ways to love your life and love yourself and love your experience so much. This other person's coming in to enhance your experience, not to save you from it, you know? It's taking it out of the rescuer, which I think a lot of us do. It's like we're looking for the Prince Charming. You know, that's so in our archetypal thinking about what a relationship is. And it's reflected in movies all the time.
This is part of the discovery process. Look at the healthy relationships around you. What's in them? What do you see? Are these people that genuinely have the best time together? They're best friends, right? They're best friends. They bicker, they fight, they argue, but at the core, they're best friends. They don't have cycles, they're not in or out all the time. I have a friend whose therapist told her to start making binders, literal physical binder of men that appeared, you know, or men that she met, or men that she even started out with, like celebrities, that seemed to have healthy relationships, that had healthy qualities, because she was feeling like there were no men out there, and so her therapist was like, and this is a mindset shift, right? Actually start, like, print them out, put them in a binder. And you can do that with relationships. What are some healthy relationships that you are either intimately familiar with or that you make up? Even if you make it up and you're wrong, it's okay. What are the things that you are making up about that relationship that makes it healthy in your mind?
What is your superpower?
My strength, and knowing that I can think it, believe it, and achieve it.
My ability to share my experiences.
Unconditional love.
Vulnerability, honesty, love.
I'm always willing to help people.
My heart.
I can love the people who have hurt me.
I can sense people.
Es resiliencia.
Being able to speak.
I'm a very, very fast learner.
The ability to relate to all different kinds of people.
I still always see the best part of every person.
Bringing people together.
I can find anything, anywhere.
I'm very supportive.
Just superwoman on you.
Intuition.
Realizing my character.
To see the good in others.
Listening.
Courage.
My mother.
Authenticity.
To make friends.
Deep connection.
My ability to grow.
Helping others.
Growing.
Listen to my heart.
It's creativity and innovation.
Is recombobulation.
Is being me.
Seeing the world with wonderment.
Patient.
To understand at a very deep level.
Love.
Bring out the deeper parts in people.
To think logically.
Self-healing.
Motivate people from the heart.
A wszystkie kobiety, które dzisiaj słyszeliście, są dowodem na to, że ta zmiana jest warta tego, żeby ją podjąć i warta jest tego, żeby o siebie zawalczyć.
This was an experience that actually helped us learn how to love ourselves better.
Everything isn't happening to you. Everything's happening for you. We don't have to get trapped in the past story. Instead of believing that we're broken and wounded and nobody will ever love me, we need to shift that perspective and say, no, I'm a warrior. I survived the unthinkable. And now I am stronger and better. I have gone through it and I've come out even better than before.
Someone else out there is living our life. Someone else out there is living the life that all of these survivors and thrivers have escaped right here, right now. You can pick up any newspaper. You can go online to any news outlet, and you'll hear about mostly women, some men, but mostly women who are killed by their boyfriends, who are killed by the children of their father. You hear it all the time. And so there's someone out there right now that is living your survivor story. And when you start speaking, you give that person hope. So suddenly, with the hope, they start to have this idea of choice. And that is really possible. That's where you can really help someone create great impact in that person's life, and if they stay on the path, they can then in turn create great impact in their life. They can end generations of trauma. They can end generations of codependency, generations of women and men picking the wrong partners and staying and not understanding what's going on. And I think that is so encouraging, and that's why you do what you do, because you want to encourage people to awaken and to take ownership over their life in a powerful way and to tell their story.
You just don't know what people have gone through in this life to live, to stay alive, to breathe, to not cry, to hide their laughter because someone else doesn't want them to laugh. Someone says, oh, well, blah, blah, blah has happened to me. Immediately take a breath and say, what if that were me? How could I handle that?
Your reality can change. Who you are can evolve. You need to focus on love to access the reality of who you are. You need to embrace love in your life.
But that's what we're missing in this universe. It's love. And that is the antidote to hate, crime, pain, depression, anxiety, and hurting each other.
Thank you so much for watching. I would love to invite you for the next episode, which is all about the reasons why the 88 individuals who shared their story in Exposé decided to share their stories. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to invite you for the next episode, which is all about the reasons, the why all the thrivers and experts in the Exposé documentary decided to participate in this documentary, in this movement, and share their beautiful journeys of healing. See you soon! If this episode resonates with you, please go to exposenetwork.com. You will find the link below, and we would love to learn more about you and your story. Could you do me a favor and share this episode with at least 2 of your friends who might be going through some difficult, challenging relationships? Remember, together we can make a difference. Thank you. You can thrive and you can be happy after an abusive relationship. Do you have a story to share?
It's night in the city and I'm on my way back home, humming on my favorite ditty, swinging like Natalie Cole. But then out of the blue, who strolls down the boulevard but you? Your place is closer than mine. Why don't we go there and have some more wine? 'Cause life is for living. Let's see where the sun might lead. Let's see where the sun might lead. Waking up to a brand new day in between your sheets, breaking up in the best of ways, and I'm back again on the street.